On the agenda tonight, we're going to be having a listen to Édith Piaf, and she's going to be singing Non, je ne regrette rien. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So, this is one of those vocal performances that I have been looking forward to jumping into in a bit more detail, because it's one of those songs that everybody knows, and even here in the UK everybody knows this song, but it's in French. Obviously everyone understands the meaning of the song, having no regrets, but I think so much of this performance is due to the emotion that is in the vocal. But we are going to be jumping into this, and as usual I have isolated the vocal, run it through the pitch monitoring software so that we can see exactly what's going on with Édith's voice. So let's jump into it and see how she gets on.
Rien, ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal. Non, rien de rien, non, je ne regrette rien. C'est payé, balayé, mes souvenirs, j'ai allumé le feu, mes chagrins, mes plaisirs, je n'ai plus besoin de balayer les amours avec leur Tremolo, balayer pour toujours, je repars à zéro. Non, de rien, non, je ne regrette rien, ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal. Non, rien de rien, non, je ne regrette rien. Car ma vie, car mes joies, aujourd'hui, ça commence avec toi.
And there we have it. So, it's great being able to see her voice on screen, as depicted by these yellow lines, because you can see very clearly this vibrato that we've got is such a huge part of her voice and her overall sound because of the speed of it, first of all, but it's just the consistency of it is undoubtedly just a natural thing that she had in her voice. And the thing that, I mean, doing this analysis video will answer for me, and already has answered, is that when I've heard this performance before, and this song and Édith's vocal, I've always wondered whether it was a true vibrato or whether it was tremolo. And just quickly to explain the difference between those, tremolo is when you have just pulses of a note and then you've got air in between. So the most exaggerated example of this would be with the Bee Gees, with that tremolo that is like ha, 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 and it's like breathing kind of in time on a note, and it has the illusion of sounding like vibrato because it almost sounds like waves, but there's space in between ha, 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 in between those notes. So when you speed that up, you kind of get this that sound. So that's a very fast tremolo. We can see very clearly here that we don't have any gaps between the lines, and that is what would happen with tremolo. You get lots of notes that are just firing off with a tiny gap, but here you can hear it's all one note that's being held. The reason that it almost has the illusion of tremolo is because of the speed of vibrato, but it is so consistent. And if I just let it play through, I mean, you know, perfect frequency to it. And the other thing to say about this, when we're just looking at the screen here, look at the pitch accuracy that we have from Édith. And this is just a continual theme throughout this performance. The E4, she's absolutely bang on. And even when she jumps up to the F sharp 4, you can see how she touches that note perfectly. So the important point to make is that because of the shallowness of this vibrato, not going up a semitone or down a semitone, it means that the note has to be more accurate because you're covering less pitch. You're hiding less of your reference pitch. So we get this reference pitch immediately, and then the vibrato is perfectly above and perfectly below. Just looking at the way that the E4, the line of the E4 note, is just dissecting this note and the vibrato perfectly above, perfectly below. Great control, and it's just a natural thing that is happening with her voice, and then the pitch accuracy of going all the way up. I'm going to take this back to the beginning, and we're going to listen to Édith's voice without the instrumentation.
Non, rien de rien.
We've got the rollings of the R's in there as well, but look at the way that we slide up to the D4. And again, that's just like laser accuracy getting to that reference point of the D4, because if you slide up, and we'll listen to this in slow motion just to appreciate the technique here.
No.
So you can hear she's going, no, and she's sliding all the way up and going into vibrato, ascending into the note. So we get that reference of pitch. Once she's literally over the D4, then applies the vibrato. So immediately we are so accurate pitch-wise, it's crazy.
Rien de rien.
And again, look at the way up to the E4. She just goes up there for a split second, but is so bang on with it, and then comes back down again. Perfect intervals here. She's already hit the D4. She then goes away from that D4 up to the E4. Her voice slides straight back down and locks into that same pitch. And that's what I mean by intervals. This is a tone. It's like two semitones apart between these notes. But the intervals of these semitones are locked in with her voice. I mean, throughout this performance.
Non, je ne regrette rien.
And with these slides, it's putting that extra expression in there rather than just holding a note and going, ah, 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 you know, and just being really regimented with it. She's got that relaxed entry into the notes. Obviously, that's the expression of the voice. That's telling the story of the song. The other thing that comes across through Édith's vibrato is because it is faster, i.e., the vibrato is more manic, it puts across that emotion of, yes, having no regrets, but having no regrets with an attitude, a kind of a confidence that there definitely aren't any regrets and I'm just going to move forward no matter what. That's the kind of emotion that this vocal performance puts across because of the vibrato. If it was slower, if she was flatter, it would sound more reserved. It wouldn't sound as confident. And that is a huge part of the emotion of this performance. Whether you speak French or not, whether you understand those lyrics, it sounds like a confident voice because that's giving it that storytelling quality while being super accurate when she gets to her note. So we get perfect expression locked in. Expression sliding down, locked in. And you'll see that throughout this whole performance.
ni le bien.
Even here, she's actually, I mean, this is crazy, hitting this D4 while sliding up for a split second so that it registers, and then she's up to the E4. And you'll be able to hear in slow motion that D4 is totally intentional. She just flicks on that note for a split second longer, so we hear almost a run ascending. Have a listen.
Ni le bien.
And it's like, na. And we can see here, I didn't spot it, the C4, na. So those perfect intervals, like I was saying, we've got two semitones here, two semitones here, or two tones altogether. So this little notch here, again, when you listen to it in slow motion, I didn't see it, but I can hear it. And then when you look more closely, you can see she just added a tiny notch onto that note to give us that ascending run. So yeah, such tiny details, but this is what you get to appreciate even more when you look at it, at this kind of detail, you know, especially when we've got a vocal line to look at as well.
Qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal, non, rien de rien.
And I know that when we're looking at these lines, you can say that, oh, that A4 was slightly flat of the note. But this is a real voice. This isn't pitch corrected. So when you're looking at notes, for example, like this E4, where she's just bang over this line the whole time, this hasn't been pitch corrected. And this is exactly what it would look like if she was off key and then being dragged down onto the E4. But we know that it's a natural voice because of the tiny imperfections that give us the expression. So this is why it sounds so good overall, is because you get an overall sense of a human's voice rather than an overall sense of a human's voice that's actually gone through computer processing and the whole thing's just perfectly over the lines the whole time. So when we're going to this A4, it sounds great still, even though it's not over the line, but that's because of the expression in the vocal.
Rien de rien, non, je ne regrette rien. C'est payé, balayé, oublié. Je me fous du passé avec mes souvenirs.
I mean, this kind of thing, I don't think you would necessarily appreciate how accurate Edith was with her vocal because you're taken in by the expression. But when you look at it, look at this G4, and this is a descending run. Look at the E4. She then comes down and here just notches just flat of the D4, but then she's notching again on the C4 just flat as she comes down. But all of these notes that she's hitting is while she's sliding down, and you know, I don't want this analysis video to go on for years, but you'll be able to hear these little notches when we listen in slow motion.
Avec mes souvenirs.
And there, na na, and here the na, that G3, she just does that again, just notches that note with her vocal cords, na, and the slide, na, that tiny little G3, na, before she slides down. It is so subtle, but you can hear it.
J'ai allumé le feu, mes chagrins, mes plaisirs. Je n'ai plus besoin de balayer les amours avec leur Tremolo, balayer pour toujours. Je repars à zéro.
And I mean, listen to the change there that we have. Obviously, you know, still lots of glissando sliding going on, and you know, here just absolutely bang on the E4. But as she descends, she has a more laid back sound to her voice, or at least the way that she's singing. And we can see that reflected with her pitch when she's going na 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 na, and she's kind of just letting it fall down there. And by being flat of the note, I mean, this is very much just expression. She's not aiming for, you know, exactly what 10 cents flat of the B3. She's not doing that intentionally, but this is what we see with a vocal that sounds more relaxed. It'll be flat of the note.
Tout ça m'est bien égal, non, rien de rien, non, je ne regrette rien.
Again, great expression here, just allowing her voice to just go flat. It's just what happened. And again, it's such an important part of singing to put across the meaning of the words regardless of how it affects your pitch. There might be particular, you know, vowels or consonants that when you're singing them as a vocalist, you might naturally sing them flat or, you know, sing them sharp. And that's just part of your technique that then you have to work at to get those vowels and consonants to be more accurate pitch-wise. But when you now put those vowels and consonants into words that have meaning, if the meaning of the word changes your pitch, then that is irrelevant, because this expression that she's putting into that word is the most important thing. Everyone listening to this song knows this vocal. I mean, whether they know that it's Edith or not, whether they know the origins of the song or not, they just know this sound. And that's because it is so unique, because her voice is just as it was. And the emotion that she's putting into the song has been allowed to be in there. It hasn't been changed. It hasn't been corrected. But yeah, it hasn't been removed. We can just enjoy it for what it is.
Car ma vie, car mes joies.
I just want to point out as well that we have got, you know, often an octave change here. So just to finish with the story of this song, I mean, it might have never happened because Charles Dumont and Michael Vercaer, I'm not sure if I'm using or the correct pronunciation. In fact, I'm pretty sure that I'm not, so apologies for that. But this song was taken to Edith, and it was, I think, Charles who had taken some songs to her before, and quite a lot of songs, and she wasn't interested in them, and she turned him away many times, and it was getting to the point of him kind of hassling her. So her housekeeper or her maid, whoever it was, who was in charge of answering the door, allowed Charles to come in with this particular song. But, of course, Edith didn't know about this and was very annoyed that Charles had been let in again to show her more songs. And he had multiple songs that he wanted to show her. So she was kind of annoyed, but she said, okay, I'll listen to one song and then you've got to leave. So, and this was the song that he chose because he thought that it would suit her. And she was just really enthusiastic after hearing this and just thought that it was the song that she was born to sing, effectively. So she said, yes, I want to record this song, was very enthusiastic about it. And in fact, I think she then performed it very soon after hearing the song at l'Olympia. And that was a performance that she had booked for, yeah, very soon after hearing this song. So she immediately got it as part of her repertoire, recorded it, and the rest was history. But it's interesting to think that if she had seen who was at the door, maybe she wouldn't have let Charles in. Yeah, it's great to have a look at it. And thank you guys for requesting this particular song for me to take a look at. And as always, keep the suggestions and requests coming in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!